From downtown Detroit, Local 4 Live starts right now.
Welcome back to Local 4 Live, everybody. In for Nick Monticelli today, I'm Jason Colthorpe, and our big story this half hour is October in the D. Lions, Tigers, both in action on Sunday. One bringing the playoffs to Comerica Park now, and the other is going to take on the AFC champions next week. Both of them having pretty good luck in Ohio, though, last week, the last couple of weeks, and we like that part of it, don't we? Executive producer of Click on Detroit and co-host of Detroit Sports Plus. We could just call it Derek Sports Plus. Derek Hutchinson joining us this morning.
A little bit of rebranding there, yeah.
Let's just rebrand it on the fly. What do you want to talk about first, Lions or Tigers?
Always Tigers.
Yeah. Always Tigers?
Always Tigers, yeah.
Really? Okay. If I had told you that they'd be coming home 1-1, you'd have taken that, right? Because it means now you got best of three and you have the home field advantage.
Yep.
But we just didn't think it would go the way it did.
Yeah, it's kind of a microcosm of the Tigers season as a whole. All of your expectations changed after a really good first half. So you thought win the division, get a bye, and then they blew it. You kind of wanted to come back 2-0 after you stole that first one, you know, 100%. Especially with Scooble. So it kind of feels like the Tigers left them. They didn't end them, you know. Yeah. They opened the door.
Left the door open.
Now they got to come home, find a way to get some runs at Comerica.
It was funny watching the game, and I don't know how many out there were watching the broadcast, but just the moment that he gave up that first home run, they were just showering Tarek Scooble with all this praise, and I said, oh, can we back off? And then then he hit that home run. I knew it. It just always works that way. But still a good spot. Scooble doesn't get the win. But what do you foresee? We have, is it Flaherty then Mize in games 3 and 4?
Yeah, the Tigers, sort of the things that haunted them in the second half are going to have to be fixed in these next two games. Because Casey Mize was an all-star starter in the first half, struggled in the second half. Jack Flaherty very inconsistent in the second half. And then, of course, the offense has just been miserable. So all of those things are going to need to change in the next couple of days for the Tigers to turn it around.
I actually saw a sign of the desperation. I don't know if you noticed this. It was like Javi Baez went to attempt a bunt and missed it, of course. Yeah. But with two guys on, I thought, wow, we've gotten to that point where we're just going to start bunting guys over with less than two, or just to get somebody in scoring position, but they just cannot get those hits.
Yeah, Torque had the double down the line, which kind of felt like, okay, finally did they break the seal, but then the next two guys strike out, so he doesn't get cashed in. Yeah. Very next inning, Seattle takes the lead right back. So you're waiting for them to have another one of those big innings like they did to finish off the Guardians, because really that's the only inning that they've put together a rally in 5 playoff games so far.
And again, it reminded me of the Game 2 with Cleveland, where the first inning, they're just gifting you guys on base. Yeah. Castillo was not sharp at all. I mean, his line looks great, but he was walking guys all over the place. They were making him work. They were just off to such a great start with, though each at bat, it felt like they were making a guy work. They just couldn't get that one hit.
Yeah, it's tough. 50 pitches in 2 innings is great. But when you fail to cash in any runs, what happens a lot of times is those good pitchers will settle in. So if you don't score early in these games, you're not facing any bad starting pitching. So those guys are going to settle in, and then he ends up going, you know, almost 5 innings shutout. So, yeah, 4 walks, 3 strikeouts doesn't look great, but when the Tigers aren't scoring these runners who are in scoring position, it ultimately doesn't matter.
That's a good point. That's probably why he looked so happy when he finally got taken out. He was like, yeah, I just said, agree. All right, let's talk Lions. What stood out with the Lions yesterday for you?
2 weeks in a row, it's kind of looks like the Lions just don't even really have to show up at their best, and they can still easily beat these Ohio teams. You know, like you said, it was a dominant week over Ohio, which is always nice. But yeah, the Lions are back into form. It feels every week like they look even more like a Super Bowl contender to me.
It felt like almost like to go on that. They played with their foot a little bit in the second half, like, all right, we're going to win this, you know, kind of getting our way there. But it is nice to see consistent defensive pressure on the quarterback, which, as we see, we had a kind of depleted secondary, and I guess you could call Terrion Arnold a problem anyway. But when you get the pressure and you make somebody sweat a little bit, even though it wasn't a starter, I hate to wonder what it would have looked like yesterday with Joe Burrow, but that pressure turns into to interceptions.
Yeah, 3 picks. It looked really good. Like you said, they played with their food a little bit, but as soon as Cincinnati got back within 11, the Lions put together an immediate touchdown drive. You could tell they were like, all right, we got to put the helmets back on, and they went and put them out. So I think the Lions are really rounding in the form. They were probably looking ahead to the Chiefs a little bit there, because that's obviously a possible Super Bowl preview, but just get through these 2 weeks with wins and nothing disastrous happens. I mean, just ask the Packers. They would have loved to have an ugly win over the Browns. So.
100%. Or even an ugly one over the Cowboys.
Over the Cowboys, yeah.
So you mentioned the Chiefs. So the Chiefs go tonight, Monday night. Lions get another. Going into the season, they had the league's best rest differential, and they again get an advantage of an extra day this week against a good team. Kansas City, just when we were about to write them off, pulled off a win last week, and a lot of people think they have their hands full tonight. But what do you expect next Sunday?
I expect a battle because Kansas City is one of those teams they can just kind of coast through the regular season as long as they've got Mahomes. So I wasn't worried about them 0-2. You know, I'm not going to be worried about them. They're going to be in the playoffs. So, but the Lions show up for these games every time. It almost would. I'd be more confident if they had lost that season opener a couple years ago because the Lions always avenge these road losses. But I think that's two of the best teams in the NFL, and I expect the Lions to show up. Yeah,
and this one again at Arrowhead. That'll be on Sunday night on Local 4. Company man. But yeah, key to that game, I guess, keeping that. I'm fascinated to see because I don't think we get a Lee McNeil back for this, but as we keep getting better and getting more consistent pressure on quarterbacks, this is a true test because he's the ultimate escape artist.
Yeah, it's get Patrick Mahomes down when you rush him, because if you get pressure and you don't get him down, that's when he finds somebody downfield. He makes a really big play, and then you're pulling your hair out like, man, if Aiden could have just brought him down. So yeah, the key is wrapping up on those successful rushes.
And no more undefeated teams around the league after a day of not so much upsets, but 4-0 teams losing across the board.
Results lately, man.
Yeah, and suddenly everybody goes, ooh, these Lions, man. After we were all freaking out the first week of the season.
4-1.
Yes. Derek Hutchinson. Always appreciate his thoughts. You can watch Detroit Sports Plus weekly, streams on demand and live on Local 4 Plus every Monday afternoon, 2 o'clock?
2:30.
2:30 is the time to tune in. You can also see it on clickondetroit.com and our YouTube page. Derek, thanks, man.
Thanks, Chase.